Are we live?
It says it's live.
Great. Well, maybe we'll have our opening video run at some point, but hey, Emily, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you. I hope we're live. It's kind of hard. All these new technologies that have been developing and the evolution of them with COVID. It's been very curious because we hate to jump in late, but here we are. We're here. I'm great. I'm ready to have a spooky, wonderful time with everybody here. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yes, we are live, and I'm putting myself on here so I can watch it. I'm doing okay, just as usual. We were joking that like right before a live show happens, I usually
Yes, we are live, and I'm putting myself. Yeah, I know. I know. We're trying to get technically. We have you have, but I still don't quite have the skills to catch up. So sorry about that. We're all good. Please tell.
We're good. We're good. We are doing this remotely because, as many of our listeners were aware, I came down with a cold last week, and although it was not COVID, we just wanted to make sure that we're not going to get anybody, unnecessarily sick.
Yeah.
But I'm doing much better now, and a little lingering cough, but not too much. But we are doing this remotely, but we're going to use Ecamm Live, and our dear producer is switching the cameras and doing all that kind of stuff from yet another location. So one of the things that we really need for you to do is let's play the open. Let's run our open.
Let's do a reboot.
Hard on. Us back in. Hi.
Hey. Hey, Michelle.
That was a great open
tonight.
That I was worked on today. So anyway, since we are doing this live and 3 remote locations, hope you liked the open. We have a little audio delay that will be fixed momentarily. And then if you could let us know that you're actually here in the comments, because we can't actually see you because we're not on Facebook. So, but we can see your comments through Ecamm Live. So if you just let us know, hey, how are you? Things like that in the comments, we can then see you. Anyway.
So let's get back to
the scariest thing, right?
Yeah, it is scary. I mean, it started scary. So I'm glad to know that you're feeling better, Michelle. And I just want to add to that sentiment. I'm so sad to not see you in Studio C. I miss being in proximity with my great friends, but I appreciate the caution. I think it's, in this time smart. So that being said, I'm glad that we're still finding a way to be here and have a good time tonight. It's our time of the month. It's one of my favorite times. Actually, it is my favorite time of the month. And
finally, after all these years, you enjoy the time of the month, right?
I know.
After all this time. Yeah.
Towards the end of my experiencing the time of the month, I finally celebrate it in many ways, right? So I love that we're going to be talking some spooky stories and, something that we didn't do, which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to do a little thank you to everybody for celebrating my birthday with me. Nice comments from lots of our fans. It was really meaningful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that, you celebrate it with us in all ways.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, and
so
happy,
this is kind of like
birthday.
It is kind of like a birthday and spooky Halloween kind of thing here, a little bit. I mean,
well, every year.
It can be, right? It can be. Why not?
Okay, let me do this.
Okay.
I'm trying to do 5 things. And
so Michelle, you were talking about the scary thing that happened when this started.
So some people out there might identify with the being a divorced parent and
that's scary.
lack of communication sometimes between divorced parents. And I just found out that I thought my son was on my ex-husband's car insurance. And I found out 2 minutes before we were going to go live that he has not been, that my ex-husband removed him from his car insurance, but at no point in time bothered to let any
communicate that.
Us know. Communicate that. He could have a fucking text message. That's all it could have taken.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, so I'm going to be taking you off the insurance. You might want to plan for that.
Yeah, and make sure your mom's got something set up for you. No. Just another example of why we are not married anymore. Because it could have been very easy just to communicate.
Yeah, it does seem that like one of these little scary tidbits like always pop in. Like seriously, that was 38 seconds before we went live. And that was the news you were dealing with. Yeah.
I will.
So there it is.
Add my son to my policy when the show is over. So feel free to join our Patreon and contribute. Venmo us some money, be fine. Insurance, birthday and insurance money. That would be fantastic. But no, it'll be fine. It's just irritating. But before we get into like our spooky stories, can we talk about the wine we're having this month?
Oh my God. Okay, so this is really pretty exciting. I reached out to our wine purveyor and with Jason at the Wine Merchant. And I really hope that people aren't hearing me talk about this twice because I'm hearing that. But aside from that, he right away was like, oh, ladies, I have something special for you to not only celebrate M's birthday, but also, this festive hunting season. Yes. So this is a wonderful Italian wine that he actually pulled out of his personal cellar. Wine Merchant does carry this.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, they do. It's just you're going to be looking at a 2017 vintage rather than the 2009 that we're drinking. This Vigne vine, right? Marina Vigne, Marina Copi. It's a Barbera, a superior Barbera. Oh my God! And does it taste superior? But I know we have this. Oh my God! I don't know which way to go. There it is. In our promo that you put up, which was beautiful, and in notes and so forth. But this is just. Oh my God! It's a 2009. I've got to tell you, this wine could still be laid down in a cellar for a while. Because it's so dense and robust. But it has everything that you want in a good Italian wine.
It's amazing. I mean,
yeah.
It is so tasty. When I looked and saw it was a 2009, I said, no wonder I feel like I'm 40 again drinking this wine. I was like, what? It's got a great aroma. I have had it in the decanter for about an hour, and it's just even more delightful.
Yeah, as we were setting up tonight, I was having my dinner and I was just like, I think I need to grab a taste of this wine. I'm so glad I did, because Italians are their wine's so naturally, it's made for food, And this has all those dark, dense fruits that you like, the blackberries, plums, and all of that, I get a little that nutmeg and vanilla and some of these other very interesting notes out of this. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. And I believe this bottle, if you were to buy the 2017, you're going to be in that $16 to $18 price point. Buying the 2009 now, you're not going to be there. But I mean, if you see it, get a case of it, so that way you can just drink it now, but stash a few away for later, because holy smokes, it can handle it. Delicious.
Absolutely delicious. Yeah,
and
no complaints. So much better than last month when we had to put the cough syrup bottle to the side and drink something else.
I know.
Yeah.
That was, Jason, I think we were just pulling from our own inventory for that particular episode. Yeah. So, he took care of us.
Yeah, he did, definitely. So yeah, happy birthday to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then happy Halloween on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
if this were a pair of panties, they'd be insured.
Yeah, is that like insuring an expensive sports car insurance policy, or is it like insuring a I don't know, a Yugo? Like, what kind of policy are we looking at here?
Definitely. No, we're looking at a high-end luxury panty policy. Definitely nothing. It's not a Yugo. It's not a Gremlin either. It is it's a Ferrari. I'm thinking of all the it's the Lamborghini,
luxury
it's the Maserati. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like the Italian luxury cars. But it's just it's delightful, so you can't go wrong. And I'm going to look into getting some of the more recent vintages and have that in my cellar as well. I haven't been drinking a whole lot of wine since I've had the cold, and this is my first wine since last Friday, and it was a week before then. So yeah, I just haven't. I was like, why waste a bottle if I've got drainage going on, right?
So whenever I'm not feeling great, the drink of choice at night it's always right before bed. It's a hot toddy, which is, your palate doesn't have to be terribly sophisticated for that. So that's a good thing. But it definitely warms you up. It soothes the throat. It definitely helps put you to sleep, which is what you need when you're not feeling so great. So hot toddies. Right. I mean, thankfully you're on the mend and are able to drink wine again. But
and enjoy this glass. I'm able to enjoy this glass and hopefully not finish the bottle. Because I haven't been drinking, so I don't need to be falling on my face.
Right. Not yet, anyway.
Well, we do have a comment from Nikki about one of the scariest things that she's facing, or for all of us these days, and I can't really read it there. Must be a setting that we need to fix, but I can read it here. It says, with all the ghost activity and creepy things that happened in my life, nothing is scarier than the Supreme Court and the possibility of 4 more years of trial. That's a given.
Well, isn't that the truth? I mean, sometimes reality is reality is frightening at times, for sure. And that's not to say the ghostly stories aren't real either, right? But I do. Right. It is a very, right now we are less than a week away from.
So please
knowing our fate as a country. It's really,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, and
nail
so,
back. I'm like,
I know if there's one thing that Emily and I want to, make sure that we drive home is that please exercise your right to vote. Um, Everybody, it is a right as being a citizen of the United States is to vote. So make your plan. I'm very, very
yeah,
pleased that I've heard of some local businesses and like the school district in St. Louis. They're just going to be off on Tuesday because they expect like a higher turnout, and
yeah.
a lot of the polling places are actually in schools, and so this allows everybody plenty of time. And also new 18-year-olds, right? Seniors who can vote, be able to go vote. So
My
I'm pleased
niece
about
is
that.
voting for the first time.
Good for
Yeah,
her.
yeah. In fact, my brother and is taking her, and they're going to enjoy the experience together. And what an important moment in so many levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
My
mm,
son and I voted last week when I got this cold, and I was like, oh my God, what if it's fucking COVID, right? It can't, and then I would have been out. I couldn't have gone. Thankfully, it wasn't COVID,
yeah.
did the rapid test, but I said, you know what? I don't want to risk it. And so we went down, we voted absentee in person at the St. Louis City Board of Elections. Leah Gertis, she wrote in, and we just kind of saw it.
Oh,
I
she
think
did. Yeah.
there's a transparency issue on the setting. But anyways, she says, I voted today and cannot believe just how happy it made me feel. I understand that. It was like,
Yeah.
I did it. And I saw like the counter go up so that my vote is in, it's counted. It really feels good. Um, am I sad that I'm gonna miss out on Tuesday? A little bit, but not really. I'm just glad it's done.
What would you be sad about? The long lines and lots of people and the potential of being around people with COVID?
Well, there's that, but the energy that's usually happens on the voting day,
Okay.
if I recall back to 2016 prior to the news, prior to the outcome, the energy was more festive,
Was it?
and
Hmm.
yeah, it was
I voted
where I
absentee
voted.
last time because I
Wow.
was I was in Europe on election day,
Mm,
and so
mm,
we went in, voted absentee, and so I didn't feel that buzz. I definitely felt the diminish of a buzz as things kind of unfolded. Um,
yeah,
you know, and it felt so surreal being so far away, you know, as it all unfolded.
I it was surreal being here.
Yeah.
And I last time Darcella Craven and I we went to the Royale because that was where we were gonna do the watch party, and we left uh, like sober, sad, silent, and she and I have joked. Now we're like, I think I'm just gonna stay home. I'm not gonna go anywhere to watch this returns. I just need to be in my own safe space, and hopefully the outcome will be better than it was in
Mhm.
2016. And I saw a meme on I think it was on Facebook or something, but it had like it was a cartoon, and it had a woman in a chair watching the television, and then there was her dog was next to it, and then on the floor next to the dog was the Thunder shirt, for the dogs to
Oh
keep
yeah,
them, and, and then an election shirt for the human, to keep you
that's funny.
calm and safe. It was pretty
Oh my
funny, yeah.
God. I think we need a thunder shirt that has like wine bladders tucked in it.
Oh yeah,
So that way, like, we've got our wine storage in the thunder shirt and a little,
right,
drawer.
yeah. But
Right.
but yeah, definitely not so much where the wine bladder is, where if you get squeezed that it's like it sprays up on you. We
No,
might
no,
have to go
no,
through
no. Right. Few
few yeah,
prototypes.
strategically placed. Yeah. So I
Right.
do have a kind of another scary spooky story to tell that's happening as we speak, besides drinking and
Holding at this
wine.
very moment. Okay, what is it?
So, as everybody knows, I swim every day at the Y, 6 days a week at the Y in the morning. And for the last few months, there has been a gentleman who kind of seeks out where I am. And one day I was standing at my car after I had swam. This was back in, there's a little bit of a delay. I apologize for the echo. So I was at my car and I was loading my trunk back up, and I had already swam, and this car goes by really slow. And I look over my shoulder, and it's this guy from the Y. I'm in the Y parking lot, and he like turns and he leers. He leers at me. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
He leers at me. And I was like, what? I do not look at, I don't try to swimming. So by like focusing on his face, and then I see him when I'm coming down the stairs. He's usually at a recumbent bike at the bottom of the stairs, hoping to catch my eye, or he's just around, or he's there when I leave the locker room, and he's like like trying to catch my eye.
Oh.
So now I've noticed that he is watching me swim from the top floor. And
oh my God.
And one day I thought he got his camera out and like took a picture, but he could have been taking a picture of his stats on the bike, one of those things. So I was like, okay, that's creepy, but maybe I'm making something up. Then yesterday, when I was, ready to do the backstroke, I noticed there he was, and he wasn't even on the bike. He was just leaning and looking. I gotta say in the camera, just leaning over and like looking down, and he has no reason to be, right? So I called the lifeguard over and I said, hey, see that guy up there, blah, blah, blah. And I gave her like kind of the backstory. I mean, he's watching me, and he's been watching me. And she goes, we don't put up with that here at the Y. We don't put up with that kind of stuff. And then so she like looked at him, and then he kind of walked away. And then I was the only person left in the pool, because you only get 45 minutes, right? So I was and he was still just, there's nobody else to look at in the pool. He was looking down at me. It's creepy, right? And so then I got out, and I like got to a point where he couldn't see me, so I could put my towel on and gather my things up. And then I told her, and he came back. I was like, he's watching again. And I said, I wonder if he goes away once he can't see me anymore. And he did. As soon as I was out of his sight, and he was standing in a location that he was hidden from the like the cameras and stuff like that. So I excuse me.
Oh my gosh.
So she got his information, got a picture of him. I talked to the man behind the desk about it, and they were like, no, we don't tolerate this at all here at the Y. So I told my boys about it. Like, I came home, that my sons were like, well, Mom, I think you need some pepper spray, because you just never know. Yeah. I mean, what's the purpose? What's the purpose of this guy? Like, what does he hope for? Like, to date me?
I don't know.
Fuck that.
Well, he's observing your patterns and all that stuff. It is not
right.
He's not. This is not somebody. If he wants to date you, he would have been like, hey, I see you like to swim, maybe we can swim together sometime, whatever it is. Clearly he's not trying to engage you. He's just stalking you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's terrifying. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. And so have you had that kind of creepy feeling when you're around him? Do you feel this like kind of eerie vibe? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And especially when he drives a tan Prius. And I'm not knocking people who drive tan Priuses at all,
Yeah.
or Prii, but he drives a tan Prius. And it was just the way he was trying to like lurch out of his car, right? And he's driving, he's like I gotta stay on the camera angle, leaning into, right, like across. And I was like, I felt very vulnerable at that point in time because all I had at that point was my bathing suit on with a dress over it and flip flops, right?
Yeah.
It just
You don't even want to look in that car.
No, and I mean he probably has some duct tape and some rope, but I had made a mistake. We get, as women, and I'm speaking generalities here because not every woman, but I know I'm conditioned as I'm out in public to, if I see somebody that, even if it's a stranger, and I catch in the eye, whatever, I sort of acknowledge them, maybe a smile or something like that, just a pleasantry. Um, Thank God we wear masks in the Y. But I was coming down the stairs one morning, and I swim at 7 a.m. I am not working hard to look good and walking from my car to the pool, right? Hair, it's crazy. But I'm coming down the stairs and I see somebody at the recumbent bike. It doesn't register real quick yet that it's that guy. And so when my behavior was acknowledged, hello, and I smiled behind the mask, thankfully. And it was just took me a split second to realize it was the creep guy. And I was like, oh man, I don't even I don't I don't even look at anybody now. And that's a pretty shitty thing, right? I don't look at anybody else because I'm afraid he's going to catch my eye.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, that is scary. I remember, I don't know, it was maybe a year ago, a year ago or so. I went to this event that was actually out at a mall, and I walking to, so I've always been somebody that parks my car out in the middle of nowhere, because even like my last car that I drove to 365,000 miles, I still like to preserve it as best I can. So I park out in nowhere zone. So I'm leaving the mall and walking to my car, and I can see this car, not in a Prius, but he's driving by, and he definitely slows down as I'm, walking to my car, and he kind of just stops, like, in the parking lot, like, not, he didn't pull into a parking spot. He just kind of stops, and he waits for me to walk all the way out into the middle of nowhere to my car, and then he parks right next to me, which I'm like, that's like boarding a plane on Southwest, and you're like one of the first people on the plane, and somebody chooses that middle seat next to you. It's like, what's going on here? And so he worked pretty hard to get my attention. But what was so creepy, I mean, that was creepy, but what was creepier was the way that he engaged me. Like, he rolled down his window and he's like, hey. And he had this really high pitched voice. And he's like, hey, hi, hey. And he was like blowing kisses at me and fluttering his eyes. And I'm like, in what world would this be a good come on? And then I got in my car, I was like, oh my God. And he started his car and he followed me, and then that's when I actually called the police. I'm like, this guy is following me, and I'm now miles away from the mall and this and that. So that stuff really, Leah, you're so right. So Leah has just chimed in, Leah Guerres, about, as women, we're conditioned to be nice, and it's true. Like, I should have, Michelle, you should feel comfortable to just be like, you're making me really uncomfortable. This is inappropriate behavior, but we don't do that. We, we try to brush things away. But Michelle, I know we've talked about this in some of our earlier podcasts. We've been conditioned to do so, not only because we're taught to be polite, but also because we don't know what the repercussions are of standing up, it can come back pretty hard.
Well, so my thought process was letting the lifeguard know, and then I spoke to the guy, the desk attendant at the entry to the Y, and gave him the heads up. And double creepy. I gave him like the backstory, this guy, blah blah, and he said, okay. He was looking at the cameras, and he said, I'm trying to find him on the camera. And I said, well, he's just right over there. Down the stairs on this machine. He's looking. He's like, well, do you want to come back here and take a look? And I go back, and the way that their camera, like, it was like a fish eye kind of a camera panned, you couldn't see him on the camera, even though he was like just down the stairs in the main weightlifting area, with the machines. And I was like, that is really creepy. And I said, well, he's so I had the man come. I go, see him right there? He's like, oh, I know who he is. And then he was like, and your last name is Doherty? And I said, yeah, but I don't want him knowing my name, any of that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But I said, you're kind of creepy that he could be, maybe he knows what machines to be at where he's not going to be on camera. Those are the times we can look down and watch people swim or me swim and not have somebody think, isn't it strange that man is just standing at the window, face pressed against it, because of where he would be hiding. Yeah. And I got, definitely, he's thin. He's got like wiry, hair coming down to here.
Why don't you grab a photo of him? Like, seriously, you should be like, I see you're watching me a lot. This is for the record.
Well, and I felt like I had to do these steps, right? Hey, right, Nikki, my Be the Bitch seminar, right? We need to do that. But I felt like I had to do these steps so that when I do confront him, if I have to confront him, then everybody knows why. Why she's confronting him. Because before, why is she yelling at him? And why is she telling him to leave her alone? Like, who would believe me, kind of thing,
Yeah.
Why should I do anything? But, and so my sons were like, you need some pepper spray. And then they gave me the whole, and you need to hit them here, hit them there. They're like, Mom, this is kind of creepy.
Nice.
And I agree. I agree that it was creepy. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said anything. And it pissed me off too, because I'm like, I just want to swim. I don't want to be your fantasy doll while I'm swimming freestyle with my snorkel and my fins. Okay, I mean, how exciting is that? You have there's probably like a whole fetish group out there for snorkels and fins.
There are all kinds of kinks, and so that is definitely a creepy story, and I would make sure he's not following you.
Yeah, well, I know what car he drives, and he wasn't there today, thankfully, but I sometimes I'm like, oh, Jesus, that fucking car's here,
Yeah.
And then the other day he pulled in right after I parked. And I don't think, so far, he's not followed me out of the facility.
Well, that is disturbing for sure.
I think that he runs a risk of trying to, if he does try to engage me in a threatening manner. I have about 23 years worth of deep-seated anger
that just might finally come out. Could be very releasing for you. Yeah.
They'll be like, who are you beating up? Your ex-husband? You know, which boyfriend? Yeah, that kind of stuff. So I was like, I don't know. I just released it all on this, you know.
Did you ever have a moment as a child about being followed or anything like that?
I had a moment when we lived in Hawaii. I was 10, maybe 10 or 11 years old, and I was coming home from school, and I think I was riding my bike, or I might have been walking. I don't know. I don't remember. But I was coming from school, and this man pulls a car up, and he slows down, and he pulls up to the side of the curb, and he rolls down the passenger window, and he's asking a question. And I took like 3 steps towards the car, and what my parents had said to me over and over was like, don't go to strangers, you know, like all of those warning statements. And I stepped back and I just ignored him, and I rode my bike the rest of the way home. That was my, and it, you know, it was weird when things like that happen. You know, that was 41 years ago, maybe, but it's still, that memory is like
sticks with
yesterday.
you. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting about the what stays seared in our brains? What about you?
Well, I mean, those are definitely important moments to remember. I mean, that's survival saying, hey, don't forget this thing that happened, because it's out there, and you gotta be aware when you need to be aware. You know, I had a moment. I was very young. I was in grade school. I don't remember what year I was, but I lived in walking distance, but I still rode the bus. You know what I mean? I was like a couple miles away from my grade school. And so sometimes, you know, my mom would come and we'd walk home because it's a really nice day, or, you know, and there was also woods that connected my grade school to my subdivision. So sometimes we would like walk through the woods and, you know, go home. And it happened to be like one of those times where I was like walking home, but I was walking home alone. It was a nice day. And this is the kind of thing that's so interesting to me, because as kids, we had so much freedom to do that kind of thing. I don't think kids are given that same kind of freedom now to just in grade school, walk home from school a couple miles. We were, and I loved it. But anyway, I'm leaving, and totally just like these stories we're talking about, you know, that I'm walking, I'm just 3 blocks away from school at this point, and this car comes up, and this guy's very, you know, slows his car down, rolls down the window, you know, and starts trying to talk to me. And I immediately was terrified by him. You know, I could feel something, you know, and I knew those woods, and the woods were right there. And I just ran off and ran into the woods. And, you know,
that's the beginning of like a horror movie. Even the like,
it
you
is
into the woods, and this guy is there on the side. I mean, you know, next thing you know, you're like running, and he's behind you. Running,
I know.
And, like, there's like crackling like birds flying out of the trees and stuff.
Yeah, and somehow I'm always falling down, and he's catching up. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then you probably trip at some point, you know, and like you have to grab your bag because you don't want to lose your bag. You know, your favorite backpack.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a scary real moment, you know, that.
Yeah.
And you know what's so weird? I'm not sure I've ever told my parents that story, which is also kind of interesting to me. Like, why wouldn't we? Why? Like, why wouldn't I go home and go, Mom, this creepy guy was, you know, following me in his car, and so I ran off into the woods. Like, I think I might have been afraid that maybe somehow I'd be judged, like I somehow created that scenario.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not I mean, that's not a foreign idea for women, right?
Right.
Like somehow we brought it on ourselves, right? I mean, I'm sitting
Right.
here telling you guys about how I don't look good at 7 a.m. right? As if like that's, like how did I bring it upon myself? I don't look good at 7 a.m. I don't look good after the swim and my hair is all a mess. Trying to see what I did wrong, having this person,
right.
And again, we have to break these patterns. We have to break these patterns as a gender.
Yeah. Right. Oh my
And
gosh.
maybe our younger women don't have. I would love to hear from we should ask next time we have a younger guest on the show, like Tanina and stuff like that. We should ask.
Yeah.
We should ask them about that.
Yeah.
Is that even a thought process that they go through? Like, oh well, not to be rude, or not to make somebody else uncomfortable, even though possibly our lives are in danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious.
I mean, isn't that the truth? Like, I think back on the couple of precarious moments that I've had where I've felt I was in danger, and never did I be the bitch. I found a very polite way to remove myself from the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very unfortunate to think that we should just be able to be like you're not
away.
Yeah.
Just go away. Yeah, I think only twice that I can recall, like right now, that I had my bitch moments. Excuse me. One was in outside in Guilford, 1990. We were at the pub, and this guy would not leave me alone. And he was an American, and he just he was hovering, that whole like you're with your friends and they're just hovering, they're like circling you kind of stuff. And he kept trying to join us and that kind of fucking bullshit. And finally I'd had enough. And in front of everybody, and this was a few days after the New Year, so it was kind of quiet at the pub. But in front of everybody, I just loudly proclaimed that there was no way in hell I was ever going to fuck him, so he could just go ahead and leave right now. Leave us alone.
And did he?
Yeah, and he sulked, and then he for a few minutes, and then they left the pub, and then I was like, well, I better wait until I don't see him outside for me to leave.
Yeah.
Right? Because
right.
I embarrassed him, and that kind of stuff. And then another time was at St. Peter's Basilica, same year, April of 90. We were being followed by some Italian guys. And I just said to them in Italian, leave us alone, go away. Like my Italian friends had taught me, and they did. I said it in Italian.
I love that. That's I love that. I love how it's like in Italian. I learned how to say hello, goodbye, where's the restroom, I want wine, and go away, leave us alone.
Leave me alone. And they did, and I was like, oh my god, they actually left. I said good. They said, look, go away, leave us alone, and they left. And yeah, but I do worry about a confrontation and what the end result could be. But if I do confront him, it'll be in public inside the building. If I ever see him again. Because they may have handled it. They may have said, see you later, fucker. You're not going to come be a part of this. Why? And, but I probably need to go ahead and mix up my swim schedule, not be so.
I think you should take a picture of this guy next time you see him and share it with us so that we can be on the lookout for him. So
Will do.
Yeah. So have you ever been stalked by the supernatural side of things? So since we're in, that spooky Halloween time of year, let's talk about that.
I don't know if I've been stalked by the supernatural, but I can tell you that it's interesting that at this time of year, my house on my front porch steps, very regularly bleeds. Like
Bleeds? How so?
we get clots of red blood that come from that are right there on my steps. And it's like I don't see where like a death could have occurred in the eaves, right, of the porch. And it's around this time of year. And the other day when I was coming home, Will's like, "You see the blood on the steps?" I'm like, "I do." And it was a big spot. You know, I don't know if
Oh my God.
there's not like, you know, a torn up raccoon in the garden. It's just on the steps, and it's the top step right before you come.
Now you do know that a man died in your home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the owners.
So was it at this time? Is it perhaps oh wow. That's very you have you taken a picture of this blood? I think you should.
I will the next time.
Yeah.
Because it'll happen again.
Yeah.
It'll happen again.
Goodness. What year was your house built?
35. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's coming up on 100. 27, 35.
Wow. That's
and I'm only
that's intense.
I'm only the fourth owner.
Right. Well, that's very frightening. And how do you feel about? Oh God, yes. I have a plethora of stories, but yeah, goodness. Thankfully, recently, you know, I can say no, which is great. I love the fact that my house has a really happy aura. You know, it's the oldest house I've ever lived in, being 1865. So, and it was part of the Underground Railroad and things like that. So you'd think that if a house was going to have some activity, it would be this one. But actually, I grew up from, you know, teenage years on in homes that had activity. And I kind of think it's like almost the female side of my family. I think there's something there, you know. It's like my mom grew up in a haunted house, her mom, like, so there's just this kind of familial thing, you know. But you know, very typical haunted house kind of stories of, you know, things moving around and, you know,
just typical,
just typical, you know,
like
doors and opening and closing, you know, just all that stuff that's very, very standard, you know, hearing steps when somebody's not there, you know. But the scariest house was the house that my mom lived in the middle of the country. And it was of the homes, the newest. It was built in the 60s. But I'm telling you, that house was dark. It was so dark. Lots of very scary things happened there. I had friends that I'd invite to come stay the night, and they would think that my stories were just stories, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, whatever." And they'd come, and they would never end up staying the complete night, you know. I never had friends stay the night. So
maybe it was your mom's plan out for all this.
Right. Keep the boys away.
I never have to deal with slumber parties and making breakfast for a bunch of kids the next day.
No boys, like, you know.
Boys.
Yeah. But there was, you know, in that house we had, you know, there'd be sounds of like, it would sound like a woman is crying in the basement. There would also be things where it sounded like the table that was downstairs was being drug across the room, which it was because it would be in a different location, you know. Even odd little things where like that you can't scientifically explain. Not that you can scientifically explain the moving of a table when you're not there, but like, you know, the magnets would come off the refrigerator and fly across the room and land on the floor all at once.
So can I ask you this? How, as a kid growing up in this, did you not like already be spooked and freaked out about that?
Oh, I was.
Okay.
I was.
Okay.
Oh, I totally was.
Very matter of factly about it.
Yeah, because it was so prevalent. And so it was so, but no, it always terrified me. And in fact, I have, as a result of that, I have, people, I have put up an opaque veil. I'm like, I don't want to see you. Just leave me alone. Yeah. So
I'm done my time.
I have. One of the weirdest things thinking about, and I'm not the only person that saw this, so like there are others that can attest, but like, my mom's kitchen sink, for example, it's like just like a regular kitchen sink, like a ceramic, coated,
like a double
cast
or
iron.
single?
It was a double.
Okay.
And so we look over when we're cooking dinner and we hear this sound. We look at the sink because that's where the sound came from. And it was the big chopping knife, which is, one of those knives like this, right? And the big chopping knife was standing up with its point in the bottom of the sink, like just standing up, like, like
nothing.
this.
It wasn't like
Nothing.
Wow.
No, and like we even tried to recreate it at one point. Like you can't, it just, So, but we heard the scariest moment in that house was when I may have shared this story on a previous podcast, but the footsteps at night. Did I share that one?
Yeah.
So
but
couple months.
Our listeners here
Yeah.
haven't heard it necessarily, so you can go ahead.
So so I had, a couple of months that would go by where I had something walking down the hallway at night, and the steps were very much like what you hear in a ghost movie, like our Poltergeist movie. They were not like real human steps where there's variances, and it was like very deliberate, heavy weighted steps, and they would come down the hallway and open my door and come in the bedroom every night, for a couple months, and
so my question is,
yeah,
why didn't you guys move when all this stuff was going on? Like, what? Were you renting?
Yeah.
Had you bought the house?
No, they bought it. My mom, like me, has had a lot of these crazy experiences. Her husband, even though he saw and heard things, refused to believe it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. We were there. I felt honestly like when the house was sold, then many years later, I was conflicted by it because I felt so glad to have my mom free of the home, but I also felt really sad and concerned for the family moving into it,
I think so.
Yeah.
Let me ask our realtor friends, do you disclose that? Is it necessary to disclose that it's a haunted house or, a possessed house on your seller's disclosure statement?
Yeah. That priests regularly come and exorcise the house.
Do you have like the coupon book or in the direct line, the priest rectory? Need you to come back because
need some holy water. It's really, it's interesting. I've definitely, and it's not something that's just stuck with homes that I've lived in. Like as a traveler, because I spent many years on the road, many nights in hotels. I definitely had several experiences along the road as well.
Ghostly experiences.
Ghostly,
about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I didn't know what. Had we switched gears?
Oh, I mean, no. I know nothing of any other kind of experiences.
So Nikki says we have to disclose if someone died there, but what about?
But do you have
haunted?
to? Yes.
What if
yeah,
it's haunted,
if they're
Nikki?
still
what
there.
Do you know about that?
Yeah.
And my sister says you should have kept in the family like the Haunting of Hill House. So my boys both watched the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of the Other Thing, and I don't watch those movies. I'm like, I have no desire
I can't.
to. American Horror Story, no thank you.
Oh my God, it's so scary. Here's the problem with it. It's so like, because I have this like slight, I have a draw towards it. I do. Like if something like American Horror Story is on, I have to see it, even though it terrifies me. And it, so I just have to stay away. I had to make a conscious choice to.
Yeah.
Because
I have
I can
absolutely
get sucked in.
no desire to have that level of suspense and tension in my physical body watching, even though if watching a movie like that. And sometimes when I'm reading a scary book, or even if it's a true story, like Devil in the White City, which is a phenomenal book, I actually had to like make sure, even though it was set in 1890, I skipped forward, went online, made sure that this guy was dead. Just like, okay, I know it's 1890, but I want to make sure they killed him. I want to make sure they found him and killed him before I finish this book, because I'm too freaked out already. And it was a true story.
Oh my God. We had a guest on early on in our podcast days that ran tours of the Bellefontaine Cemetery. And, of course, that's supposed to be kind of a haunted tour. That's still something that someday I'd like to do, which tells you that there must be something slightly masochistic in my personality, because like I'm saying, I have no opaque veil now. I don't want to know what's it, I don't want to meet these ghosts, but then I'm like, I kind of want to go.
Yeah, I don't I'm grateful that I don't have a calling to be connected to the the ghosts and things like that, and I don't necessarily. That's right, Jennifer. Devil in the White City is an excellent book, but I don't want to watch a scary movie. I think that there's a lot of things in our regular current existence that is pretty scary, and but I can go dark, right? I can tell a scary story, I can write a scary story, right? But I just
have you ever rented it? I know you of course have written other kinds of sexy stories, but have you written a story of the macabre?
I have, when I was one that I wrote when I was, I think, in high school, and it was quite freaky and scary, and deranged woman in a house kind of thing. And I came across the writing, the essay, the short story, when I was cleaning up one time, and I gave it to my kids. I'm like, look what I wrote when I was 14. And they're like, this is freaking bizarre and scary, Mom.
This is messed up.
It's messed up. I'm like, yeah, but okay. And it was. What does Christina say? That was pretty fast. I've noticed
she
that
said
in the past
that,
couple of years, she actively seeks it out. Why?
I get that. Especially in a time where, okay, we've been talking about there's things that are scary that are happening in this world. It's nice to have a distraction of fiction. It's like, oh, this isn't real, something to make you, jolt your adrenaline in a different way.
And when I'm watching a series, and if it's like it's a first episode of a series, and it gets some kind of crazy scary, and maybe a character is being held hostage or something, I have to go, well, they're not going to die because I've got 6 more episodes and they're like a main character. All right, I'll just relax and chill, because they're, I try not to I feel a lot when it comes to that. Even like Ozark.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh my God, I love that show. Do you ever cheat and go to the end to see how it's gonna end and then go back to the beginning?
I would have to be honest and say I have gone through and read the episode synopses for some of those series to see how it's going to end. It's like, oh, okay, I got it now. It'll be fine. Because it's like he's still alive. He's still alive.
Yeah. I have to admit I like spoiler alerts because of the same reason. Like I if it's entertainment, I don't want to be miserable. And so I just want to enjoy what I'm watching, and so having the knowledge that, oh, okay, this is going to happen or it's all going to be okay, just gives me peace to be able to be comfortable, for the 6 or 9 hours you're going to be engaged in a series, So I love spoiler alerts. It's actually one of the cruelest things somebody that knows me can do is to, when I'm like, what's going to happen? And then for them to go, just watch. That's torture.
Yeah, definitely. I spend a lot of time like this.
Oh my God, I know that look. Yeah.
And I say things like, are they done? Are they done yet? Have they finished with the killing? Have they finished? Are they safe?
I know. I definitely do the same thing.
All right, I'm just gonna fast forward this part. I don't need to know the dialogue. I'm just gonna fast forward to the end.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
I know that we have a few days left. I know we talked about at the beginning. We definitely want everybody to get out there and vote. One schedule change, thankfully, because we can schedule our time of the month. Normally, we are on the last Wednesday of the month is our normal time of the month. However, in November, that would put us the day before Thanksgiving. And we are going to actually have our time of the month the week earlier on November the 18th. And we have a special guest that is going to be joining us on November the 18th. Her name is Kay Sedia. She is, even Iggy Pup is excited.
I know, celebrating us. Yeah.
She is a diva who is one of the power sellers of Tupperware. She does drag. As an incredibly fun person to talk to. We are excited to have her on the show.
Really amazing person. Yeah, Kay Sedia is a really fabulous person. And, it's cool when we had a chance to talk to her about her story. She makes her living with Tupperware and has for 18 or 19 years. It's really amazing. Bought their house, paid for, surrogacy for their child. And, it's really amazing. And so that was kind of fascinating to learn that Tupperware is that alive, and that, it can be an incredibly wonderful life, career. And I love that Kay Sedia has her own spin on it.
And you can check her out on YouTube or Facebook and see what kind we're going to be getting into. It'll be a remote show. She'll be in LA, and Emily and I will be here, but we're going to have a Tupperware party. We are. And drink sangria or, talk about things, and it'll be
just in time for Thanksgiving, because you're going to need more Tupperware for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because
store all your leftovers.
Because you might still cook for 20, but only 10 can come because it's going to be different. I know we'll be in town for Thanksgiving. It'll just be the boys and I. Because, in the COVID times, you don't want the Thanksgiving to become your last supper, right?
Right. Very true.
It's just,
Yeah.
and then, it's just interesting. And I think, Friday or Saturday when it's Halloween, it'll be interesting as well. I won't be giving out any candy because I'm an old curmudgeon now, and I have done my time giving out candy, as I've said so many times on the podcast. But it'll be interesting to see who comes out and tries to trick or treat.
We do not get trick-or-treaters.
Well, we do. Well,
so
it'll be interesting to see if it's the same level or if people don't come out. I mean, I don't know. They're wearing
I used
masks.
to love doing the trick. I mean, I used to love it. I really did. Back in the days when I had trick-or-treaters, I'd love to get dressed up and make the house look all spooky, My favorite trick-or-treating house as a kid, though, I know we're getting close to wrapping, but I have to share this because it's pretty amazing what this family would do. So in Peoria, there's this wonderful drive. It's called Grandview Drive, and it's up on the bluff, and beautiful homes, beautiful view. And there's a home up there that looks like a castle. And the entire family, like generations and for cousins and all that, would come together, and they will put on a whole show. So it's like you're walking up to a haunted castle. So people are in the yard and doing popping out at you, and all of this music and fog and all this stuff. And you walk up to the front, and there's a throne, but you look into the windows, and there's like coffins and candles and all this stuff. But here you walk up to the throne, and this like ancient king who looks like, near death, right? He reaches in a basket and he gives you a pencil. It's the best pencil on earth because it says "Happy Halloween from the Castle," and I'm telling you, if you're in Peoria, that is the thing to do. Forget the candy. Go get that pencil. It's such a cool experience. Yeah.
I wonder if they will continue to do that now.
I don't know. Yeah. Do you have any favorite trick-or-treating personal stories as a child before we wrap? You want to share?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, we trick-or-treated. It was, I don't have.
What about costumes? Was there a costume you were particularly proud of?
No, not really. I always had I had greater plans than what my mom could help me, do. And it wasn't, I think I may have like taken on some of her mentality about like, well, if you want to do something, make it yourself. Halloween has never really been like my holiday. It was my ex-husband's. He loved Halloween. And I enjoyed the first 10, 15 years living here. And doing the trick-or-treating and being on the porch and having all the kids come up and tell their jokes and having the yard and everything decorated. But we just get so many kids, and I have no desire to keep spending $100 on candy just to sit out there and pass it out.
It's a lot.
And then and you go through it and there's still more people. So so I let the younger people, the younger couples with their younger kids across the street. It's their time now. It's my turn to be like the lights off. Don't come over.
Right.
But the fun times we're walking around with other parents and drinking beer and wine and chit chatting and stuff like that. But now what I'm gonna do? I got no kids to walk around with. It's like I'll be that creeper person. You see that creepy lady? Like she's walking around talking to people and drinking her wine. No, I'll just stay home. And get ready for the time change so that I can, swim the next day. Yeah.
There it is.
Simple pleasures.
Yeah,
but we will be back here November 18th. We've got, episodes every Friday that you can listen to. We are on Amazon Music now. We have surpassed the 30,000 download mark, everyone, on our podcast. So thank you very much. If you haven't gone to iTunes and liked us yet and given us a 5 stars and subscribed, even if you listen to us on something else, please do. We really need to, this is how other people can find us and and learn about us. So please, whatever you can do, go to iTunes, grab your friend's phone and go to their Apple Podcast.
Right. I've done that a few times.
There. Whatever you can do. I do have a funny joke though. I saw this meme, and it was a woman talking about she's going to be going to a Halloween party that her ex-boyfriend is also going to be attending. And she's going to dress as a clitoris so he can't find her.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think that is how you should dress when you're going to the pool.
Like a clitoris. Yeah, he won't even be able to. He'll be like,
he won't.
What happened?
Where'd she go? Yeah.
So anyway, thanks everyone for sticking with us, watching, and we will be back. Have a great rest of your day, Emily. I will see you soon, hopefully, and I will be completely over this cold. And everybody, stay healthy. Vote.
Yes.
Tell us how you're feeling, and take care. Take good care of yourselves. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers. Here's to you.
Cheers. Cheers.